Welcome to part 2 of AHEADAMERICAS 2020, a global celebration of hospitality experience and design. I'm Guy Dietrich, Editor-at-Large of Sleeper, and this is the second in a series of 4 mini awards that will make up this year's America's Award presentation. Before we reveal our next set of 4 winners, we'll be speaking with members of our judging panel in our head-to-head discussions to see what trends emerged in the course of their deliberations. So here's Chris Thomas, Features Editor of Sleeper, with Resort Design, the New Landscape, and a look at how the land lies for the future of resort design and more. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Guy, and thanks to those watching along too. My name's Chris, I'm Features Editor of Sleeper, the magazine behind AHEAD, and today I'm joined remotely by 3 members of our judging panel to look at the next 3 categories: resort, landscape and lodges. With the rise of mindful travel, hospitality experiences that have a strong connection with their environment have topped the list for many guests. And the diversity we've seen in these categories in the last few years has very much spoken of this. So for the next session, we're going to explore these categories in terms of what judges were looking for, if any specific properties stood out and why, and what's next for these types of projects in a post-COVID world. I'll briefly hand over to the panel to let them introduce yourselves. Can we start with you, please, Ilan?
Sure, with pleasure. My name is Ilan Segal. I'm a hotelier and founder of Solity. We provide creative direction for several hotel ownership groups, also developers, and some management companies. And I'm happy to be a part of AHEAD panel for the second year.
Hey, this is Marcus Stryer. I'm looking after the Americas and global innovation for design hotels. In our community, sustainability, design, architecture experience has always been a key criteria. So I'm excited to be part of the AHEAD Awards 2020 judging panel. And I think in this times, it's so important to recognize unique design. So really excited to be part of this.
Hi, I'm Sarah Duffy. I'm a principal at Stonehill Taylor. We're an architecture and interior design firm in New York. I head up interiors, and we work with all the big brands and do a fair bit of boutique work as well. And I'm also thrilled to be a part of this, and thank you for having me.
Great stuff. Thanks again for all your time. We'll jump right in. So these categories, they're all loosely defined by, or loosely connected rather, by experiences that communicate with natural landscapes and surroundings. So how can hotel projects foster good relationships with natural settings?
That the middle of nowhere is getting kind of the new destination, right? It's not anymore like the typical pass in kind of this over-tourism world we have taken. It's like where can we find places where going there, the journey is kind of part of the transformation process. I think that I found very interesting in this year's categories.
I think it all starts with a sense of respect, respecting kind of the place, the local environment, the nature, and very importantly, the culture. Really partnering with locals. To Marcus' point, it's become the more remote, the better it is as of late, and we look for these very unique experiences that are quite remote.
An interesting thing with COVID is, I was thinking about this morning, is it better to be super remote, or is it better to try and achieve all these things but much closer to home? I think that will be the challenge. Like, obviously we all want to be in the most remote locations, but are we going to be able to get there, and how easily will that be? Are all those things that we need to keep moving as workers and professionals, is it possible?
The positioning will have to do with the hotel. If it's a super premium, ultra exclusive property, it may work well in a remote location where you can arrive on your private jet or have the luxury to take 14 extra days to be quarantined in one place without having to rush back. So if you have the luxury of time and you can spend additional time in a resort in a remote location, I think that there's a market for that post-COVID for sure. I think for the majority of us, we'll have to find that balance where you identify semi-remote locations that are accessible by driving an hour or 2 away from major destinations. So you'll depend much more on staycations, if you will, and locals that want to venture out and discover a part of their country or city that they never touched before, but they can access it on a week-to-week basis, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's also why Asbury Park is so interesting, right? I mean, it's so accessible, and they're achieving a sense of remoteness within a very urban environment, obviously very different than, you know, the rainforest. But I think that it's a really interesting project with how they've approached it, and you really feel like you stepped out of, you know, New Jersey or New York or wherever you're coming from.
Yeah, it makes their guests feel different, right? Like they're in Miami suddenly. They have so much natural light in the project. It's a great example of a good urban resort, you know, minutes away from major cities, and it makes you feel like you're somewhere else, but still has that urban feel to it.
Right.
I think the way we decide about travel will also change, right? It's much more conscious decisions when I'm ready to meet people, when I'm traveling. And I think we have seen this already before COVID-19, that people are taking much more purpose and impact, and something Ian was saying, into the travel decision. COVID-19 is an accelerator for this right now, where I think this movement goes even faster now, right? And you want to go in a space where you're not just a consumer, where you can contribute, and there's a reason why you go there, right?
Are there any other shortlisted projects from across any of these categories, the landscaping, the lodges, and the resort categories, that caught your eye, and any reasoning behind that?
For me, it's always, when we talk about natural landscaping and going out of the big cities, that it's not that we're not building an artificial oasis, kind of, right? It's like what's there, what is the forest, what's the nature, and how can the project even embrace it without leaving a trace or without kind of interfering with the nature, right? So one of the projects we have seen is AHEADA, certainly in Nicaragua, where they keep the jungle. You basically live beneath the trees. And bravery, obviously, trying to build a new community in a place like Nicaragua. So it was something I liked, but also a couple of other projects where they're not trying to build an artificial garden, and we have seen a lot of interesting projects in that area.
I like AHEADA as well. I thought the other one also in that part of the world, in Costa Rica, Nayara Tented Camp, I think is an interesting kind of juxtaposition of taking the concept of luxury. They advertise it as a luxury property, but it's a tented camp. And it's very much surrounded in nature. It has a good sense of place as well. And so it's an interesting balance, I think, that they've accomplished, being sustainable in a country that has probably been at the forefront in the Americas, right, for sustainability and eco-friendly properties.
It feels like the tents are barely even there. You can barely see them. And yet there's this amazing sense of luxury that I think is unprecedented with a tent experience. Post-COVID, you know, we've seen an incredible reduction in pollution and garbage, all this stuff that was sort of an unforeseen part of this whole thing. And I'm hopeful that will really resonate with people and really cause them to have interest to seek out properties that are making a huge effort to be better.
I think, you know, the fact that sustainability was just a marketing buzzword for so long, quite frankly, in our industry, and pre-COVID, you started to see a shift. I think it's encouraging to see projects like some of our finalists where you see the guests making a decision based on those elements. And I think guests will be less forgiving moving forward now, post-COVID. They're going to demand that you're respectful of your surroundings, that you're recycle, that you upcycle, that you do as much as you can, and you do what's right for your hotel, regardless of the category, if it's a resort or an urban business hotel. I think there's not going to be any forgiveness for single-use plastic anymore. And so it's doable. Does it take a shift? Does it take a commitment from ownership and the operator? Absolutely. But I'm a big believer that little things mean a lot, even if it's a small item as starting a recycling program in the back of house.
Almost a redefinition of the word community, which also became kind of an overused word. That the community is not only the guests enjoying the space; it's really the team members, the people from the local environment in crowd. So I think this interaction, this positive interaction between guests and the team member, which is enhancing the entire experience. And in particular, when we talk about categories like natural surroundings, sustainability, resort, I think it's so critical.
You know, having open spaces now, short term, is a luxury for those properties that have it and can embrace it. But the reality is, even with indoor spaces, it's how do you make the guest feel? That's what it's all about. So giving them a perception of flexible spaces, as Market says, or Sarah redesigning kind of the FF&E and the space in between what you have, even if it's indoors, I think is key for the next year or so.
We saw a really strong category this year, and I have seen more character and soul. It's not the typical. We're moving away from the kind of one concept fits all, right? Resort kind of style. I think we're seeing much more concept, more niche way of travel, and then wellness and kind of personal progression kind of being the forefront of the experience. And then how can service and design help the consumer, the traveler, to really enjoy the time? And depending on the mood I want to experience at the resort, do I want to relax? Do I want to get excited? Which was interesting to see. I saw much more specific character and creation and curation in the resort category, which I found very interesting.
First of all, it was very difficult to choose because we had all these amazing hotels, all of which were very different, right? One was in Costa Rica with the tents, another was in Asbury Park, Nicaragua, Hawaii, etc., and all of which brought amazing different ideas to the table. So I think we really looked for what Marcus was saying. We really looked for this idea of not just beautiful design, but the environment itself and also the experiences. You know, one of the interesting things about the Manalani website is the first thing that comes up is experiences rather than what does the hotel look like. And, you know, we looked at that too, to just what was the whole package. And I think all of them offered amazing experiences, but they were very different from each other.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Super experiential, all of them in different ways. Some with like 10 rooms, others with hundreds of rooms, but very targeted audience going after a particular way of life for that client. You know, from the surf-specific resort in Nicaragua, which is really targeting surfing community and those that enjoy surf and being by the water, but want to have that jungle-like experience in Nicaragua, to perhaps those in Manalani that relate more to the historic element, you know, and the restoration of this kind of historic building in a larger scale, in a more social type of experience. That was very nice. The other thing I thought was interesting from all of them, regardless of where they were, is how important landscaping has become, and kind of embracing biophilia, you know, in general, not just for an interesting, you know, royal palms on the entry porte cochere of the resort or the hotel, but how the guests interact with landscaping indoors and outdoors. And that was a nice common thread to see with so many of these great candidates this year.
Where it's now like, what are the values of the place, and do you want to be connected to this or not? Which is interesting. It's not the price, the status quo, which is defining resort or experience. It's really about why I'm going into a specific space. Getting part of the design, it's the consumer, the guest getting part of the experience more. It's really addressing the why I'm going there, what are our values. And it's I think hopefully we see more decisions by developers and designers and architects of what is the experience and what I want to create and who I want to see in the space, instead of jumping on a project and then at the second step kind of defining the concept and the experience.
Brilliant. Thank you again for joining in on this. We very much appreciate your participation on all of these different AHEAD elements. It's been great having you and talking to you guys. I'm just going to end it now by handing back to Guy in the studio.
Hello and welcome back to the second part of AHEAD Americas Awards 2020 online ceremony. Thanks there to Chris and our judges for their thoughts around some of the upcoming categories for whom trophies await. We've already seen some fantastic projects from new builds to renovations in part 1. And don't forget, if you've missed it, that's available to watch on aheadawards.com. And please remember to spread the word using one of our hashtags. @AHEADAwards, #AHEADAmericas, #GoodTimesAhead. And we start part 2 with the award for the Best Resort Hotel, sponsored by Janice at Sea. And here the contenders are Asbury Ocean Club, Asbury Park, unusually an urban contender here. Rosewood, Little Dix Bay, British Virgin Islands. Santa Marta, Marriott Resort, Playa Dormida, Colombia. And the Lodge and Spa at Brush Creek Ranch, Saratoga. A strong and varied shortlist here, but our winners, in the words of the judges, brought new thinking to the resort concept. And here to reveal the winner, our music maestro, Rob Wood from Music Concierge.
And the winner is Asbury Ocean Club. Congratulations.
Congratulations to Asbury Park.
The biggest surprise is that this place exists. That the ocean is so magnificent, that the boardwalk is so huge, that it's an hour and 10 minutes away from New York. Everything is so big there.
We wanted to create a place that is truly transporting, focusing on well-being and making you feel like you are on a faraway island on sand dunes. Designed on one floor only, the hotel is organized around a spectacular sand dune garden on one side and a very large swimming pool deck with sweeping ocean views on the other. The glass house, drawing room, is the heart of the place, surrounded by reflecting pools. Bright and sunny during the day, sexy and moody under the stars of the night, with a baby grand piano playing in the corner, it's a perfect place to chill. The guest rooms, large, with high ceilings, private outdoor areas, warm and natural finishes, feel more like a beach bungalow than a hotel room. Set above the hotel, there are luxury residences. State-of-the-art amenities such as spa, fitness, gym, private studios, screening rooms, private dining room, show kitchen, and game room complete the experience of a one-of-a-kind destination resort focused on quality of life and wellness.
There is some magic in the air. You feel the connection and you want to be part of it.
Resort Hotel winner, Asbury Ocean Club, New York.
Let's start by saying this is amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for a lot of other people that didn't send the video. This project could not have been done without Salt Hotels, David Bout, thank you. Without Handel Architects, thank you. Bonetti Kosurski, Architecture, thank you. Madison Cox, Landscape Design, thank you. And more than anyone else, iStar and Jay Sugarman and his leadership and vision for making Asbury Park and Asbury Ocean Club a reality. Thank you.
Resort Hotel winner, Asbury Ocean Club. Now it's time to get up close and personal with our Guest Rooms Award, and this is sponsored by Villeroy & Boch, and here the nominations are: Conrad, Washington, D.C. Santa Monica Proper Hotel, TWA Hotel at JFK, New York, and Umbral, Curio Collection by Hilton, Mexico City. Mexico again popping up, and another Hilton brand in the mix in this category. For their winner, the judges saw a memorable design with fabulous attention to detail, something out of the ordinary. To reveal the winner from Villeroy & Boch, Konstantin van Boch.
And the winner is Santa Monica Proper Hotel. Congratulations.
Well done to the fast-growing Proper Hotels and their second hotel on the West Coast. Here, the judges appreciated the harmony of textures and colours in Kelly Wearstler's carefully considered design, with a serene palette, sophisticated furnishings, and a sense of place, bringing natural elements from the surrounding area into the room design. Guest Rooms winner, Santa Monica Proper Hotel. Next up, the award for Landscaping and Outdoor Spaces, sponsored by RH Contract, and presented for exceptional landscape architecture and the design of external spaces. On this list, we have 3 properties appearing on their second shortlist of this year's awards. 1 Hotel, West Hollywood, Los Angeles. Ashbury Ocean Club, Ashbury Park, New Jersey. Oria, Nicaragua. Moanalani, Hawaii. And in one of those fine projects, the judges were impressed by the seamless integration of nature and architecture in the landscaping. To reveal that winner, from RH Contract, Claire Eels. Welcome, Claire.
And the winner is AHEADA, Nicaragua. Congratulations.
Aurea, congratulations. This sustainable jungle resort on the Emerald Coast allows the landscape to keep its natural stage. Our judges commended the integration with the endangered rainforest, the use of the natural canopy to provide efficient cooling, and the developer's general sensitivity, low impact and highly respectful.
Hello, I'm Carlos, and I'm broadcasting from my home here, the trees and a construction site. I was asked to explain what it would mean to me if I get this award, and actually it means a lot. It would mean that there's room in the industry to start small but think big, and that preserving nature is actually possible and affordable while accomplishing a great design. I have to give special thanks to all my business partners, the co-owners of Aurea, and also to my wife who has supported me along the way, but mostly to my staff, my construction workers who have put a lot of effort behind this to make quality and quantity a possibility.
Landscaping and Outdoor Spaces winner, Aurea, Nicaragua. Our final award for the second part of AHEADAMERICAS 2020 is for lodges, cabins and tented camps. Sponsored by Janice at Sea, and these are the contenders. Islas Secas Reserve and Lodge, Chiriquí, Panama. Nayara Tented Camp, San Carlos, Costa Rica. North at Grandview Lodge, Nisswa, Minnesota. And the lodge at the Gulf State Park, a Hilton Hotel, Gulf Shores, Alabama. Great variety there amongst an impressive spread of shortlisted entries. But to tell us who's won, Ali Miami's Zahava Arband.
And the winner is Islas Secas Reserve and Lodge. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you, Zahava, and congratulations to Islas Secas. This is barefoot luxury at its best, a guest immersion in the natural beauty of Panama's pristine Pacific coast. Architects Hart Howerton are to be commended for having gone to such lengths to preserve the fragile marine ecosystem, delivering casitas nestled in tropical gardens with sublime views.
We are absolutely honored and delighted to be recognized for this achievement. It would not have been possible without the vision, support and encouragement of a remarkable client team. Our sincere thanks to them and to all the consultants and the expertise that they brought to this project. Lastly, to a remarkable contractor whose skill and craftsmanship brought the vision to life. It has been a pleasure to have played a small part in this extraordinary project. Thank you.
Lodges, cabins and tented camps winner, Islas Secas Reserve and Lodge, Chiriquí, Panama. Well, that's it for part 2. Thanks for watching. Congratulations to all our winners, and our thanks again to all our supporters and sponsors. We'll be back here online to reveal our next set of winners. But before we go, here's a brief word from another of our sponsors.